Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to look at how to make huge and beautiful atmospheres using a great little program called Paulstretch. Now it's completely free. You can find the link to the download in the description of this video. It's not a virus, I promise. I'm not trying to steal your money, although I could do with a bit of extra cash. But hey ho, let's get straight into it. So to begin with, we're going to want to create a new instance of Serum. Okay, so we're going to turn our voices of unison up on oscillator A to 16. That's the most you can have on Serum. We want it to be nice and detuned. About 10 works for me. Again, we want it to be really wide, so we're going to turn the blend all the way up, creating as much width as you can. We're going to do the same thing for oscillator B, except we're going to make it a little bit more detuned. 14 sounds good for me. And I'm going to turn this up an octave. Now, oscillator B, it's quite high pitched and it can be a little bit piercing, so we don't want this to sing out too much by itself. We're just going to have it sort of complementing and colouring the sound of oscillator A. So we're going to leave it at about 40%. Now we're going to come back to this sound. The sound's not done yet, but I just wanted to get something that sounds decent to work with while we're creating the chords. Otherwise, it would just be quite unpleasant for everyone listening, and that is not what I want. Okay, so we want our chords to sound very big, very full, very beautiful. We're going to need to have lots of notes stacked on top of each other. We're going to start really simply. We're just going to find the root notes that we want. Now we're going to start layering the chords, so let's add some fifths on top of that. Okay, that sounds good to me. Still very plain and empty though, so let's spice these chords up a little bit. Now, in big chord stacks like this, I always like a little bit of dissonance, so we're going to add that in. We've got the C sharp root note, so we're just going to add the C underneath. Now, this harmony will create a dissonant sound in the chord, which sounds very kind of yearning and emotional, so I always like to add something like this in the chords. There's still room to put some more stuff in, so I'm going to find another note that sings well. Alright, that sounds really nice. I want to have this evolve a little bit though. So I want my ambience to sort of climax and build to a crescendo. So I want to add some more notes as the progression comes to an end. So we're going to add another root note, but this time it's going to be a C sharp 1. Just to add a bit of bass, add some more presence to the sounds. And we can add maybe another root note up here. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, I think we have our chords now. So let's go and readdress this sound. Let's listen to what we have. So it's in the right ballpark. Maybe it's a little bit too piercing for me, so going to drag the level of oscillator B down a tad. That's sitting maybe a bit more comfortably. So we're going to want a slow attack and a slow release time. Again, this is a washy sound, so we want a nice gentle fade in and want the release to be nice and long, so when the chords start to change, it doesn't go like A, B very quickly. It's a smooth transition, which is very important for this sound. We want it to be fluid. If it's too staccato, it's not going to sound very good, in my opinion. So I've put the attack and release both to 429 milliseconds. Now the reason I've done this is because we're working at 140 BPM, and 429 milliseconds equals the length of one beat at 140 beats per minute. If you want to figure this out for yourself, just go to Google, type in 60,000 divided by 140 or whatever the BPM you're working at is, and search or use a calculator, and you'll get your answer right there. That is the length of one beat. I might actually want my attack and release a bit longer, so I'm actually going to work at 857. Now, the process I've just done is not actually important. You can do it completely by ear. It's not necessary. My own brain just feels more comfortable knowing that I've done things kind of mathematically and precisely. That's just me. That's how I am. It's how I like to work. And I think it sounds good, but you don't have to. This is music, not physics. So crack on how you like. So this is what it sounds like now. Okay, that's smooth. Still a bit fizzy, so we're going to take out some of those slightly more abrasive high frequencies with the low pass filter provided by Serum. Just going to leave it at 3000. Sounds about right to me. Okay, so this sounds good, but we can add a couple of effects to make this really sound huge, atmospheric and ambient. So, first off, we're going to add a reverb. Ignore me. First off, we're going to add a distortion. So we're going to change the setting to pre-distortion, and we're going to bring the filter shape to a bandpass filter, my bad, by bringing it up to 50%. Now it's a complete bandpass filter, and we're going to push the peak up as high as we can, like that. Now we're going to turn the drive up to about 80%, and we're going to start feeding it in the mix. So you can hear how that adds a sort of lovely gritty warmth to it, makes it sound even bigger, even more spacey, which is what we want for this. So we're going to apply the final step within Serum before we put it through Paulstretch. So we're going to add a reverb, go to the plate setting. You can use any reverb or distortion for this, by the way, but I just like the ones provided by Serum because of the depth you can change the parameters on. So particularly with the plate reverb setting, I love how you can mess with the width and just jam it all the way up like I've done there. We're going to cut out some of the fizziness with the high cut filter. Again, we're just going to start feeding this in till it sounds good. Okay, so I think for now that sound is perfect. Let's bounce it and put it through Paulstretch. Okay, so just moving back to the distortion really quick, I've decided that I want the peak of the band to be hitting a high frequency. I also want this frequency it's hitting to be focused on a note within the scale that we're playing in, which for this is C sharp. So thanks to my friend Google, we have discovered that C sharp is 554 hertz. So just ram that up. I need to stop saying things like that. Let's move that up to 554 hertz, and this is the sound we have now. Okay, so that sounds better to me. I really wanted to highlight those extra harmonics because when we put it through Paulstretch, we want it to grab those harmonics and really pull them apart, which will be part of what makes this sound so big and spacey. And I just felt that the harmonics, when pushed slightly higher, respond better in this way, even if maybe it sounded a bit more pleasant before it's put through Paulstretch at a lower frequency. I think you'll understand once you hear it through Paulstretch why I've made this choice. Okay, so let's put it through Paulstretch. Just going to export it as an audio file. Make sure you include the audio tail. Just going to call it chord stack. My desktop's horribly unorganized. Please ignore it. Make sure you keep your files in a bit of a neater condition than mine. It'll make life a lot easier for you. Okay, so let's open Paulstretch. Let's go to File, Open. Going to make our way to the desktop and find the file we have just exported. There it is. So we're going to stretch it to 4 times the length of the original sound. We've got the type set to Han. Sounds good to me, but they all sound pretty good. So let's write this to file. Find the full touch bit. There it sounds. And that's here. It's always huge. And here. Straight. And here we are. Awesome. Well, there you have it. I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope you start making some awesome music. See you next time. Using a little program called Paulstretch. Now, it's completely free. Finding Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well today. Oh, fuck off.